Rich Tehrani here with TMC. We're at CES 2013 in Las Vegas. Thanks for watching. I'm speaking with Dave Baarman. We're at the Fulton Innovation booth. Dave, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So what are we looking at today? What are you showing the public?
So wireless charging is now in phones today, and we're showing kind of how far those phones or how many phones have now adopted the technology, as well as where the technology goes next beyond cell phones and beyond just wireless charging of your portable electronics.
Excellent. You've got some examples, right?
Most certainly. Want me to take you through it?
Sure.
Okay. So in this arena here, what we're showing is the Qi wireless power standard. What we've done is we're one of the founding members of Qi, which is a standard, much like you would think of Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. And what we've done is we've created a supply chain and semiconductors that can be implemented in cell phones today so that you can just set your phone down and it charges. An example of that is this is my HTC Droid DNA. I can set it down on top of this JBL speaker by Harman Kardon, and it's charging, but I also directly link, so I can play my music here or I can charge here. So now I've got this ecosystem of phones that I can buy off the market today, combined with chargers I can buy off the market. So it might be a JBL speaker, it might be an Oregon Scientific clock radio, it might be the Nokia Fat Boy charger or any of the other Nokia chargers, the LG charger, there's a Panasonic, and there's an ECA. And the idea is that all these different phones, there's 34 phones or batteries, all work interchangeably amongst all these different chargers.
Now, are there issues with amperage of the different charging devices and the current draw of the different devices you place on them?
So that's a good point. So the standard right now is low power, so it's 5 watts and below. There's a next generation of the standard that's 5 watts to 120 watts, and we're working on that now. We're at the 0.9 version of that within the Wireless Power Consortium. But within the 5 watts here, we have devices that might be headsets that might use 100 milliwatts. We have devices that use 5 watts. We have devices that use 2, 1, whatever. And the way the standard works is the protocol allows us to automatically adjust on the fly to whatever the device asks for. So think of it as universal power. You don't have to look for that specific cord or cable for your device anymore. You can use any device, you set it on a pad, and it automatically negotiates the power for that device.
So to give a sense of wattage of typical devices, an iPhone 5 typically I think is a 5-watt device, but an iPad 2 is a 10-watt, and I think an iPad 4 has a 12-watt charger.
So in each of these devices, as we go up, our next range of standard looks to span between these. So if you have, theoretically, if you have a 10-watt or a 15-watt or a 50-watt charger, what we want it to do is be able to charge multiple 5-watt devices or a 50-watt device or a 40-watt device and a 10-watt device, and the pad or the charger can negotiate that.
So I've got to ask you about potential downsides of this technology. Some might say that there's some waste involved. What do you say to that?
I say if you look at it statically, meaning that I'm comparing a quick cable that goes directly into a battery, and I compare that one-to-one, I would say scientifically you're correct. But the reality of it is, the way these devices are used and the way you want to use them, we can set them up so that your interface to the device now starts to become more intelligent. That's why our tagline is intelligent wireless power. I charge maybe a couple of hours a day. Where I get to my office, I charge at night, and between those two things, that keeps my phone charged all the time. But my charger's still plugged in that whole time that I'm away. If we take a look at the waste in the standby versus the waste of the actual charging, we're way ahead because we can actually turn these devices off when I take my device off the pad. So now I've got this nice interaction of physically setting something down and have it turn off when I disconnect it and I walk away because we've made these devices more intelligent.
And it's worth noting that the adapters themselves, whether they're for wireless or non-wireless charging, are quite lossy as well.
Yeah, you know, and everyone's working better at making that standby power less. You know, so the technology is getting better. But we show an example of a TV set over here where when you pick up the remote control, everything comes on. When you put it away at the evening, it not only turns off the charger, but it turns off your TV, your set-top box, and all the other devices. So if you think about smart design and you think about adding intelligence together with the way that you interact, now all of a sudden these things can be much more intelligent.
I'm with you. That makes a tremendous amount of sense, actually.
Yeah, it's so, and we believe that goes even further. Once you have that intelligence, there's no reason why your phone can't unlock your car. It can't be car keys. Cannot unlock your door at home. You get to a restaurant and you set it on the table to charge. It knows that, hey, you've come to this restaurant quite a bit. You drink an Arnold Palmer or whatever, and they can have your loyalty history and all that as well. So there's some really neat benefits to wireless power going forward.
Great. What else are you going to show us?
Let's show a kind of a spatial range of taking this from a close proximity to the next generation of technology. So the concept here is, if you've ever had a toolbox that might have multiple batteries in it, your camera operator might have a camera bag that has tons of batteries for his lighting, for his camera, etc. The idea here is that you might want to charge multiple devices at the same time. And you don't want to necessarily have to take everything out serially, meaning each battery one at a time to charge it. So what we do here is we just set this purse or this bag on this charger, and it charges the devices that are inside of it. And the idea here is that it makes my life more convenient. We've got an indicator on the outside that says it's charging. If this were solid and you couldn't see inside, you could still see that the device was charging from the outside, and it just makes our life more convenient. Imagine setting your camera bag with 10 batteries down, having all those batteries charged, and you just pick it up in the morning and you didn't have to set everything up that way.
I absolutely love it, but does this mean my wife needs all new purses?
No, actually, the emblem is just an additional coil that could be added to an existing purse. The idea here is more about expanding the magnetic field to be able to charge these devices in a enclosure.
You heard it here, honey. No new purses. What's next?
Let's show high power. So this is actually one of my favorites. Because the kitchen of the future is going to be amazing. And what's going to be involved in the kitchen of the future is I'll be able to take my appliance like this blender, and I'll be able to use it right on my kitchen counter. Excuse me. And, oops, wrong. And I'll be able to blend. And I can use my toaster this way, my waffle iron, everything without a cord. And the beauty of it is your children won't hook a cord or get caught in that and pull the appliance off the table. You can make appliances in such a way that they can be actually lower cost, and they can actually have better controls. And most importantly, even things that are basic. So in this case, what we've done is we've taken a pan. Okay? Pans were made to hold over a fire. They have a handle because you would use something to hold the pan over a fire. In reality, what we've done here now is we've taken a surface. This could be my granite countertop. I can select a temperature, and now what will happen is the power supply in this surface is actually sending power to this pan, heating the pan, and it's watching the temperature in a controlled fashion. Now, if you think about your range at home, what happens is you have low, medium, or high. You don't know what temperature that's really at. So you don't know the exact time when you should drop your chicken in the pan, or when you should sear your beef, or when you should, different ways of cooking it. You don't have any aid to know when it's really at that temperature. So now we can actually do that. We can cue a recipe. So what we're doing here is we're boiling water. What this is going to do is it'll boil this water faster than your microwave.
It's hot.
Yeah, faster than your microwave, faster than standard electric, and it'll go from a boil to a simmer.
It's starting to boil.
So it'll boil up, and then it will go back to a simmer profile. Now imagine in the recipe book having this tied to your iPad, And the recipe book says, okay, now it's time to add the noodles when it goes to simmer. So it's in simmer now. I drop the noodles in. It actually sees that the temperature goes down, and it knows now that you want to simmer for 30 minutes.
Well, there'll be definitely an app that tells you all this, right? And the app will wake up and say, drop in pasta.
And the cooler thing about that app is your mother or grandmother can record a recipe for you, and you can play it back. Exactly the way they
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, so we really like that whole aspect of being able to, make this more intelligent. So from here we can go from cooking in this format to actually cooking in a package. And the idea here is that combined with printed electronics, we can heat a package just by having foil inside the package. So in this case, we're showing soup. Could be your morning oatmeal, it could be pasta, it could be different things. You're taking a shower, you're getting ready for work or whatever, and you want your oatmeal in the morning. You drop it on your kitchen countertop. You say you want it hot. You tear a little tab that says hot, medium, or warm, medium, or hot, and you set it down on your countertop. You take a shower. You come down. Basically, it's not like a microwave where it's either going to be overcooked or undercooked, or sometimes it's just right if you're standing there. This delivers it to exactly the temperature that the manufacturer wanted it to, and that you augmented by tearing the tab. It's extremely inexpensive. It's tied to, again, the power supply knowing exactly what temperature that food is at.
So it's just a cheap microprocessor in there, just like a rudimentary microprocessor that tells the device?
No, so in this particular case, we can use printed electronics to feed back the temperature. So it's the label.
Oh, it's like a smart tag.
It's even simpler than that. It's just an analog feedback to the control that tells the temperature, and it makes it very simple. This is an example. This is a piece of printed electronics. On here we have a coil, 2 transistors, and a display. And the display could say temperature ready. But what we're doing is we can actually build a temperature sensor right into this. And by this power supply that's built into the surface coming in contact with this, which could be printed on the label of this, we could actually read that, feedback that information to the control, letting it know exactly what temperature it's at.
It's kind of like an easy pass, something you would use to go through a toll, high-speed toll?
Yes, but
even simpler than that.
And lower cost.
Amazing. What else should we know about?
So really the next generation of this, you showed you kind of where the wireless power has come from. This is where it's going next. So what we've got here is, this is an example of a pad that we would charge, and what we can do is by taking it off the charger, I can set it, put it in my hand, and I can set a device on top of this, and I'm actually now charging this device from my pad. So we're sharing power between devices. Okay?
So a larger device generally would be a reservoir for a smaller one.
Well, and even the smaller devices are now a reservoir for being able to communicate to some of these printed electronics that we just showed you. So I'll give you an example of that in a little bit. But what we're doing here is now I can actually take this and set this on this media. So imagine this is my magazine, and I want to know more information about this subject right here. All I have to do is touch it, and it could either tell me that information or take me to the internet spot that will give me more information about it. So if I'm looking at a magazine and I want to know the nutritional information, or I want to know additional information about different things, we now have a printed media interacting with a device because we can power it and we can collect information from it. That gets very interesting because now magazines can have so much more information in them, or a store label, or a poster for a concert. So that's really where we're taking this next.
Excellent. This is one of the coolest things I've seen at the show, and probably the most useful, and I appreciate your time, except I just got my my note from my producer that we've got one more stand to look at, so we're going that way, aren't we?
Okay, great.
I don't know if you can top what we've seen so far.
So in this case, I wish the lights were down a little bit lower, but you can see that this is actually lighting up, this magazine. So the idea is that we can actually put power
Oh yeah,
into.
the eyes. The eyes. See the eyes lighting up.
Yeah, and it's going through a sequence. We've done cereal boxes. We've done, in this case, you can see the Droid box below here gives you a great example. But we can actually do some very cool things with the way that we can draw attention to packaging. So what we're showing right now is packaging that might light up, but you could imagine that if you had a shopping list and you were walking down the aisle of a grocery store, what might happen actually is as you hit something on your list, the tag might actually point out that that's the product you're looking for, and it might flash.
So actually, think about a supermarket having an app that you put your shopping list in, and then they sell the sponsorship for oatmeal to Quaker.
Yes, and another thing might be, go to page 417 and apply your phone and find out if you won the sweepstakes. And now all of a
Amazing.
sudden it could light up telling you that you won. Or if I'm over here and I put my phone down here, I might say, I want to know more about Lord of the Rings, or I might want to know more about this person, or this person, or this person. And just by touching the items in the magazine, in conjunction with having your phone there connected to the internet and powering and reading the data from the magazine, now all of a sudden it all ties together and really makes media a whole new experience.
This is awesome. Now, I don't want to end this prematurely. Have we seen everything?
You haven't seen everything, but that's what we have here to show today. So it's a pretty exciting industry that's evolving.
Dave, this was one of the best interviews of the show, as I was saying before. Congratulations and good luck with all this.
Thank you very much for your time.